Hi, it's MJ Callaway coming from my tiny bounce up studio. And today I am so excited to have another guest from the 21 Book Project. And today we have Holly Mcllwain in the studio. So welcome, Holly.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much, MJ.
You are so welcome. Holly, is it okay if I share a little bit about you before we get started? Because I have a number of questions to ask you.
All right, let's hear it.
Great. All right. This is for our viewers. I want you to know a little bit about Holly here. Holly lives and breathes bravery. Whether it's taking huge career leaps, raising two rough and tumble boys, or giving it over to the mommy makeover. Need to hear a little bit about that. Big living, big decisions, and big bravery. She's here for it all. As the founder of the high impact, not-for-profit Brave Women Project, Holly leads other women in doing big, brave things. So happy to have you here today. So I'm going to jump right in because I want to know a little bit about the Big Brave Project.
Well, I would be delighted to tell you. I started the Brave Women Project with three of my incredible counterparts because as I looked around and experienced all of the challenges of being a professional woman in the world today, I realized that one thing I needed that I didn't know how to ask for was support in doing the brave things and really one brave thing every day. That's what I needed. And that's what we focus on. We offer that kind of support.
I love that because my thing is fearless. Do one fearless thing every day. And doing these videos, that takes bravery. It takes fearlessness to do it. So I love that. Now, Holly, there's this, and I love that you say Holly Joy. That's your AKA is Holly Joy, because that joy also is part of being brave, because bravery, would you say when you do something brave, it also does bring joy to you?
Absolutely. Overcoming fear and overcoming the imposter syndrome, it's absolutely evokes joy. And what they say about joy, it's contagious. And that's kind of how I live. I want every person I encounter to walk away feeling just a little bit more filled. And that's what joy does.
And that's a great mission. Absolutely love that. So the Brave Women Project came about because you had a very difficult 2020. So could you share how you jump-started this project?
For sure. So I guess I probably should back up a little bit more. I had an incredible career in nonprofit. I spent 15 years serving at a nonprofit that I loved and felt so deeply in alignment with. And after I had my second child, I realized it was probably time for me to change my pace and make some different decisions professionally. So I got into management consulting and really learned a lot about management consulting and talent acquisition. And I got fired unexpectedly. And I'll never forget that feeling of getting blindsided by being let go. And I immediately changed my pace. On the way home, I called the owner of Winter Partners, who was a friend and a mentor to me. And I told her that, I'm suddenly finding myself really free and I want to do really important work and I value people over profit and I want to put people first. And she made me an offer and I started working for her that afternoon. And then I called my husband to tell him what happened. It was very scary going from a 15-year career and being able to predict things to working in private practice and business where the budget seemed to be unlimited to going into a place where I was working on commission only. And it can be scary because I have two children, a mortgage, and a husband. And so I geared myself up first by thinking I'm going to do one scary thing today. And then I realized I gave scary things power. So I changed my thinking, I rewired my brain, and I said, I'm going to do one brave thing today. Maybe it's a call, maybe it's an email, maybe it's who knows what. It changed every day. And so through that year, on my heart, I started writing this book called For She Who Leads, Practical Wisdom from a Woman Who Serves. And it's 77 pages and a self-guided workbook to help a woman who wants to lead wherever she is. And I tell stories of other women who inspired me. And so I use the hashtag Brave Women Project in my book. And I wanted to connect with people. And I had a great speaking tour lined up and it got canceled due to COVID. And so I had this thing in my heart. I had this thing in my hand and I needed to share it with the world. And so when COVID hit, everyone else, including myself, is homebound. Mm-hmm. And I started using a digital platform to meet people and to host a Brave Women brunch once a month. And that became the ground that we planted the Brave Women Project in. And now we have an organization that encourages women and really encourages them to do the brave things.
And can you give our viewers an idea of how you encourage them, or maybe a piece of advice for them?
Absolutely. Well, as I said, I had a hard time asking for the support that I needed. I felt that if I dared to acknowledge a weakness or a tender spot, that it could be used against me or preventing me from advancing. Now, we know in healthy organizations, that's not a problem.
Right.
But not every organization is healthy. And so I wanted to create a space where I could give the support that I have been given. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have incredible, powerful, brilliant women around me, lifting me up. 2020 hit myself and my family in ways that we never could have imagined. And the bravest thing I could do some days was just get out of bed and care for my kids. And to be supported by women who were professional women, who were intelligent women, who were passionate women, to be supported by them. Sometimes I got a care package full of spa products to do in my own bathroom. Sometimes I got a box of tea telling me just to sit down. Other times I had meals delivered to my house, bouquets of flowers, pajamas. I was so supported, and calls and text messages without any expectation of response. That's the support I needed. And it made me want to do better for other people. And so I wanted to make it easy for other women, MJ. I wanted to make it easy for women to get support. So we do a come as you are lunch hour virtually once a month. Members only, just come and we're going to love on you. We're going to talk about the things that hurt, that are annoying, that are frustrating, your failures. We're going to celebrate your success. We're just going to be together. We do professional development at lunchtime once a month. We have those brunches we continue to run. We have a mentorship platform, and we have even a wellness platform where my best friend is an exercise physiologist with a heart bigger than I've ever seen. And she created workouts for my women that you just do at home. And she talks you through it and loves you through it and gives that support that honestly I struggle to ask for when we wanted to make it easy.
And I can so identify with struggling to ask for support. And it wasn't until I went through my own challenges that I learned how to do it. So what can you say to someone who is having a struggle to ask for support? What can you say to them? What's the first step?
Yeah, I guess the first step is acknowledge what you would do for someone else. If your best friend was going through what you're going through, what would you do for them? And then acknowledge that there's someone who wants to do that for you. When we started having some of the crazy things that happened to our family in 2020, the last thing I wanted to do was burden someone. And as the year went on, and as my family continued to have one thing after another, I was almost afraid to tell people what was happening because I didn't want to be the sad friend. My name's Holly Joy. I can't be the sad friend.
Yeah.
So I think really think about what you would do for your best friend, and then find one person who loves you fiercely and just say, you know what, I'm having a hard time. I don't know how to talk about it.
That's awesome. Life is unpredictable. And that is what I get from you is, even though life was so unpredictable and it was so hard for you in 2020, you did what I always try to share with my whoever's in my programs is improvise. And you did exactly that. Whenever we all had, several of us had books come out in 2020, and we had to improvise, and you did it in such a great and graciously way.
Thank you. I think I had to take my own medicine a lot. I know that I did, because I had people remind me that I knew the truth. And so, the first hit was, COVID hit. I knew I was not made to be a stay-at-home mom. And suddenly everyone was a stay-at-home mom, except I had not just one job, I had two jobs. And
Right.
so I had two jobs, two beautiful kids, and my husband, bless his heart, got to report to work every day because of his role. So I was at home with my careers, with my commitment, with my sense of responsibility, and with my babies that needed to be played with, loved, comforted, taught. And I didn't think I could do it all. And I realized very quickly I couldn't. And before we even could catch our breath, my father-in-law was diagnosed with metastatic melanoma that hit his brain, his lungs, his colon. And we moved him into our house. That was a huge pivot. That was a huge change. It was a huge adaptation to the life that I was comfortable leading. And we found out we were pregnant within weeks. How do you have all those generations in one household?
Crazy.
It was really crazy. But you know what? We wanted that baby. And we wanted my father-in-law. We wanted to be the safe place, the home. And so the bravest thing for my family at that time was to embrace what was happening and recognize that, life is so precious, whether it's at the tail end or at the very beginning. And we got to live this. And, we were very, very fortunate that we were both able to work through the pandemic. We eventually got some help with our kids, and they went back to daycare, thank God. But, sadly, our life changed really dramatically. And we thought that the biggest transition we were going to have was helping my father-in-law go home.
Yeah.
We thought that was the hardest thing we were going to have to do. And what we soon realized was that we were being conditioned for a whole lot more hard, and that those brave steps that we needed to be taking were going to come at us. And we had choices: be brave, or I don't think there was.
Yeah. No, sometimes life doesn't give us a choice. Someone had once said to me, MJ, you are the epitome of embracing change. And I feel I can say that to you too. You embrace change. Some people get stuck, they don't move forward, but you have taken every step of it was hard, but you have taken every step of that change and you have moved forward. Some people don't, like you have been able to do that. And with it, every hard time, every challenge we have, adversity we have, there is opportunity, and you found opportunity.
Yeah. And sometimes, well, thank you for that. I'm so happy to be in a classification with you. With that opportunity, sometimes I had to find it. And, there were a few things that I brush over sometimes, but are really important. And I feel that your viewers would benefit from hearing, because we all go through hard things and we can't control it. We find out we're pregnant and we're preparing for, a new life. We're so glad that we get to be parents to 3, not 2. And my father passes away. And so I went home to where my parents lived to say goodbye to my dad. I made it to the house really literally as he was passing. And it was a really hard thing to do alone, because during the pandemic, a lot of us had to do things alone. Things were just hard. People were not able to go freely everywhere. And over the course of those days, things were really, really hard. There were unresolved family issues. There were things that I could never have predicted happening. And I came home from burying my dad, hugged my babies, ate a cake, and thought about, what am I going to do now? My dad was the first man to ever love me. And now he's home. And I looked at my husband and my kids, my tummy. I'm thinking, wow, life is all over. And something goes wrong. I find out that I'm miscarrying the baby. And so again, we're shifting. The bravest thing I could do in those days was get out of bed and take care of my kids. The bravest thing I could do was look at my husband and say, we're going to get through this. My husband gets diagnosed with MS. Weeks later, we think he's having a stroke. And it turns out it's MS. And this is a young man. He's 35. I lose my baby, my dad, the husband, and the future we planned, because MS has a diagnosis that changes your future. And so we go through this, and all I can think was like, I need to just carve some time out for myself. I have to take an opportunity here because things are hard. So I scheduled the mommy makeover.
So can you share with our viewers, what is a mommy makeover?
Well, it's different for most women, depending on what your pregnancies have done to your body. But I gave birth to two 10-pound babies and fed them until each of them were 2. So I had 5 years of nonstop pregnancy and nursing. And I'm an athlete. I love to work out. I love to run. And a lot of the things that I loved to do physically were much more difficult than they needed to be because of some of the things that happened to my body. Mm-hmm. So I had a double breast reduction. I had my abdominal muscles repaired. I had, and that was a big ordeal because I had cancer in my 20s, and that caused and I had abdominal cancer. And so I had scarring that complicated pregnancy. And I was planning a 4-day recovery. I was like, you know what? I read online. I'm really tough. I can get through this. I'm going to take the weekend off. And I ended up having a full recovery of the 10-week process. It was a full 10 weeks to recover. But I came out stronger. I came out realizing I got to ask for help. I got to let people help me. My body is the only body I get, and I have to take care of it. And I got to find ways to take care of it. And realizing that, I love the skin I'm in. I always have. I've always had a very healthy sense of self. But I also knew that there were weaknesses that were there for good reason because I gave birth to beautiful children. But I wanted to be strong enough to be the grandmother that takes care of my kids during a pandemic so they don't have to stress out. I wanted to be able to provide for my children something that my husband and I didn't have. And so my long game is that when I'm 67 years old, I'm going to be running after grandkids and being the grandmother that plays at the park and does all the fun things. And I'm taking care of my body now to do it. That was a brave thing. Making the time and the investment for the mommy makeover was a brave thing, right?
What is one thing? What's one suggestion? In addition to doing one brave thing every day, but what is one suggestion you would give to the viewers out there that could be stuck? What would you say for them to do to take that first step, to build momentum to move forward?
Yeah, make a list. Write it down. What do you need to do? And what do you want to do? And then prioritize that list because some things are more important than others. Not everything is number one. And then create some boundaries because you can't do it all.
Well, and you mentioned 2 things. Write down what you need and what you want, or what you have to do and what you want. They're 2 different things. So identifying that, writing it down and identifying it. And then making the list in a priority form. But boundaries, I call it resist the rescue. You don't have to rescue everybody, but those boundaries. Thank you for bringing that up because that is huge.
I can say that I wouldn't be able to be mom to 2 amazing children and wife to a wonderful husband and have 2 awesome careers if I didn't have boundaries, because things get real messy when it's not ordered. And so I have to go through a calendar a couple times a week, reprioritize, schedule the things that matter, communicate with my partner and with my colleagues and everyone that I interact with, I need to communicate with. And that's a discipline. It's not easy for everyone, especially if you're a people pleaser, especially if you are a person that says yes. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say no.
And no offers opportunities. When we say no, we cut out things that are not good for us so that we open opportunity for things that can really get us to where we want to be. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep, you know it.
So Holly Joy, what would you, how can people get a hold of you? Because you have two different businesses here, but let's talk about the Brave Women Project. How could someone get a hold of you for the Brave Women Project?
Yeah, so the Brave Women Project has a really fun website. It's bwp.life. Brave Women Project for Life. So bwp.life. Our website really talks about what our organization is all about and the impact. We're really active in social media. So especially on Instagram, you can connect with Brave Women Project there. If you are a little bit entertained by me and you want to connect with me, my Instagram handle is Mama Mac, knows a lot about that, because I don't know much about parenting, but I keep trying. And you could use the hashtag Brave Women Project on just about any platform to find us. We're very active on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. You have been such a delightful guest.
Oh, thank you. You were a lovely host.
Well, thank you. All right, this is MJ Callaway signing out for today. But remember, make it a bounce up day.